The clock ticked past midnight. Empty desks stretched across the office floor. Only Sarah remained, hunched over her computer, racing against a deadline. She finally finished, exhaustion pulling at her eyelids. Relief washed over her as she gathered her things. Sarah walked towards the elevators, the click of her heels echoing in the silence. The elevator arrived with a ding, its bright fluorescent light a stark contrast to the darkened office. She stepped inside, pressing the button for the ground floor. As the doors began to close, Sarah thought she saw a shadow flicker across the hallway, but she dismissed it as fatigue playing tricks on her. The elevator started its descent. The smooth descent turned jerky. Lights flickered, plunging the elevator car into momentary darkness. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest. The elevator lurched to a halt. Confusion turned to fear as she realized she wasn't on the ground floor. The air grew cold, sending chills down her spine. Sarah pressed the button for the ground floor again, but nothing happened. The elevator remained stubbornly still. Panic welled up inside her as she frantically pressed every button, but the elevator refused to budge. Suddenly, the elevator lurched downwards again, faster this time, as if some unseen force was pulling it down. Sarah's stomach lurched with the movement. The lights flickered violently before plunging her into complete darkness. She screamed. The elevator shuddered to a stop. Silence descended, heavy and absolute. Sarah fumbled for her phone, its faint light a beacon in the suffocating darkness. She was met with an even more terrifying sight. She was no longer on a familiar floor of her office building. The doors opened into a dusty and deserted hallway, its walls covered in peeling paint and cobwebs. A single flickering light cast long, distorted shadows that danced ominously on the walls. "Hello?" Sarah called out, her voice trembling. Only the echo of her own fear answered her. Then she heard it, a whisper, soft and insidious, coming from the far end of the hallway. It seemed to slither around the edges of her sanity. "Sarah," the whisper hissed, her name a corrupted echo in the stillness. She spun around, searching for the source of the voice. Her eyes darted to the shadowed corners of the hallway, her breath catching in her throat. She was trapped in a nightmare. As she took a step back, she caught a glimpse of her reflection in the elevator's polished metal doors, but it wasn't her. Standing behind her, mimicking her every move, was a figure shrouded in shadow. Its eyes, two glowing embers in the darkness, seemed to bore into her soul. The whisper grew louder, closer, wrapping around her like a suffocating shroud. "Trade places, Sarah," it hissed, its voice a chilling imitation of her own. "You don't want to be here. Let me take your place." Terror, raw and consuming, threatened to overwhelm her. This was wrong. This wasn't right. Sarah knew she had to get out, had to escape this nightmare. But how? The entity was toying with her, its intentions unclear, its presence suffocating. She was trapped in a deadly game of cat and mouse, and time was running out.